G'day, I'm Paul. Today is a very exciting day because I'm standing next to a V12 Ferrari. That doesn't always happen, but this is not just any V12 Ferrari. This is the replacement for the 812 Superfast, and I'm going to try and pronounce it properly here, 12 Cilindri. And just in case I haven't, I'm going to throw to an Italian in our office who's going to tell you exactly how it should sound.
Ferrari 12 Cilindri.
Now, what that means is that this is Ferrari's big V12 hero. It is front engine, rear wheel drive. It is all the things a Ferrari supercar should be. So today I'm going to take you for a bit of a walk around here. The car has literally just arrived here in Australia. We're very fortunate to have it straight after its global reveal. I'll run you through the high level specs and what this means if you are in the market for an absolute beast like this. Now, if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this video, you can use the time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. And are you in the market for a new car?
If so, have you heard of Help Me Car Expert? All you need to do is go to Google, type in Help Me Car Expert, or scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you to the CarExpert website. It's not just me or Sean doing the video stuff. We're like a big company, 60 full-time employees, and on our website you're going to find news, reviews, and also our car chooser tool. If you're unsure which car you want, all you do is enter in all of your requirements. It'll spit out a stack of options. You can read the reviews, watch the videos, and then we can even put you in touch with one of our friendly dealers.
Now, let's talk about design because, to be honest, this is very polarizing. I've had a look through all of the comments on the other videos from the reveal, and people love it, they hate it, some are in between, but I can tell you here in person, it really has some incredible character. And some of these design elements are taken from the Daytona, and you can see bits like this front section here, which is black. It will stay black regardless of which color you get. You can't change that. I mean, you could wrap it if you wanted to, but if you are buying this car brand new, you can't change this color here or the color on the back of the car, which I'll show you in a second, but you can basically customize everything else. In terms of the proportions, this is on a brand new platform. Even though this F140 engine has been around for a while, this platform itself is brand new. It sits on a wheelbase that's 20 mil shorter, so it's going to give you a slightly more agile feel behind the wheel. We recently actually spent time behind the wheel of the 812C, and it is just such a glorious machine. I'll be keen to see what this is like now that they've compressed it a little bit, and just to see what the driving dynamics are like. On the front here, outside of that sort of Daytona-inspired design, you've got full LED headlights, and this LED strip here, now this is quite fascinating because it runs along the front of the car there, but then it sticks out here. It actually is sitting outside of the body, so you have this 3D element to the car that you just don't see on many modern cars today. They've been really daring with the design, and there are so many aero elements here. Beneath the skin, you have vortex generators along the whole length of the under tray that are basically increasing the amount of downforce on the car, sucking it to the road, and then creating a complex set of vortices to the diffuser at the back. Like it is a proper setup here that has a lot of technology that's derived from F1, which is where they're able to achieve some of the incredible speeds this car will do. And I'll run you through that in a second when I show you the engine and the way that the bonnet opens as well. It's seriously cool. Stacks of carbon fibre too. Like every other Ferrari, you can go to town on customising things, but I just love the fact that you have this exposed carbon weave visible throughout the vehicle, both front and rear. Like it's just a very cool design. Now, Ferrari's designer did say that he hated the fact they had to fit this radar down the front here. And it is funny, if you think about ADAS technology, and that's the technology that basically does your radar cruise control and all the other features of the car's semi-autonomous driving systems, this type of thing hasn't really shrunk. A radar has been that big for such a long time, and it has to sit there as well because it's firing a beam out in front of the car to get a response and run things like radar cruise control, and in some instances AEB as well. So he's lamenting the fact that you have to have that there and that it is so big, but you know, to me it's something that people are used to, but I guess it is what it is. Now, come around to the side with me. This is sitting on 21-inch alloy wheels. Now, it's an interesting setup because it's not exactly the world's lowest profile tyre either, and based on other Ferraris that we've driven, they've managed to get a balance there between getting a big wheel that looks really cool like this, and then also getting the ride quality that you need as a daily driver. You've got to remember that while some people will take a vehicle like this to the track, it is all about being able to drive it daily, being able to take it to work or take it to the airport or do whatever you need to do with it and not feel compromised in any way. And I'm hoping this is the same setup here in terms of the way that it rides when you aren't sort of at the track doing fun track things. Along the side here, another bit of aero there. Look at that. Fingers go straight through there, a bit more carbon, and then this strafe down the side here. Kind of reminds me of Aston Martin styling, but you know, I think it is, it's really cool and kind of mimics what they've done there with that front section with that LED running light that sort of hangs out the side there, and then the Ferrari logo on the side. Now, I'm going to open this now to show you this engine because it is just a work of art in itself. Now, to open this, it's not your typical hood cover that you would find on most cars. It actually opens this way. So inside the car here, there is a lever that we pull. There it is there. And then basically we gently lift this up as well. And then have a look at that. That is a helicopter, not the, the car idling. 12 cylinders of absolute fury. This is the F140. This engine has been around for a little while now. I think it's almost 20 years now that this engine has been in service. It has received numerous updates over that time, but fundamentally it is the same structure there, and it is giving this car that unique sound that we hear from a Ferrari V12. Even just down to the amount of carbon you see here. This is a section of the car that you're never going to see unless it's stationary and the owner opens its bonnet, but you can see all of that exposed carbon weave around the place. I also love the fact that when you peer in through behind the wheels there, you can actually see all of the suspension components as well. It is quite it's just a magical looking engine. Now, let me run you through some of the high level specs here. 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12 engine, 611 kilowatts of power. Now, it is important to note that this is 1 horsepower more than the 812C, so it's technically more powerful. Just under 700 Newton meters of torque. The coolest thing here is that it spins up to almost 10,000 RPM. Now, 10,000 RPM for a naturally aspirated V12 engine is pretty insane. And to put that into context, I'm going to play noise of this running now, and then I'm going to follow it up with noise of the 812C running during our recent drag race series as well. So I'm going to be quiet for a bit and you guys can have a listen to that. Now, inside the actual engine itself, they've used titanium conrods, so that's a 40% weight reduction in comparison to steel. And we're also talking about rebalanced crankshaft, which is 3% lighter. The gearbox has also changed as well. It's now an 8-speed dual clutch transmission, and that actually changes the way this sounds when it is shifting through gears as well. So you are getting better efficiency because you are able to stagger those gears a little more effectively. But in essence, it is going to be quick shifting. It's going to come with launch control. It'll do 0 to 100 in under 3 seconds as well, and has a top speed of almost 350 kilometres an hour. It is just, the numbers are simply ridiculous for a car that is rear-wheel drive, and I think that's the thing to remember here. You are plumbing 600 plus kilowatts of power through 2 rear wheels, so it is a pretty remarkable setup there. So I'm going to close this. We're going to go to the back of the car now. I'm going to show you some of the design highlights around the back there as well. Now, down the side of the car, you've got even more carbon fibre down here on that side sill on the wing mirrors. The door handles are interesting as well, so you can see here, you push that in, and once it reaches a point, it then just clicks open, and that has sucky doors on it as well, so you don't need to put too much effort into closing them. I thought I'd point out as well that even though this is a brand new chassis, this is actually heavier than the outgoing model, so some of those components are carried over. There are parts of the suspension, the ELSD is carried over from the 812 Superfast as well, but they are pretty confident that with all of the new transmission and also some of the emissions control equipment on this vehicle, that it is actually going to be a better performing vehicle. Now, when I say emissions control equipment, part of the reason you're allowed to have a V12 engine in 2024. And I think that was probably the craziest part, to think that a naturally aspirated V12 engine with no hybrid assistance or plug-in hybrid components can actually exist this year with where the world is going with emissions. Tells you that they've had to put a lot of work into making this work, and that means that this is actually compliant to all the latest standards for this type of vehicle. And I'm fearing that that is going to perhaps reduce a little bit of the noise that they have there, but you know, Ferrari promises that they've gone to town on that exhaust system to make sure that it still has that unique character. Carbon ceramic brakes brakes. At the back here, 315mm wide tyre. So this is the thing that is going to hold this on the road. You've got two different options there. You can go for like a semi-slick race style tyre, or you can go for a road tyre, which is going to give you better noise and better road holding as well when it's dry, because some of those semi-slicks in the wet can be pretty dangerous. Let's whip around to the back here and I'll run you through some of this. Okay, so this is the back of the 12 cylinder. I'm going to run you through just some of the specs here on downforce, and it's quite fascinating. A lot of cars will have spoilers that come up and down at the rear, whereas this vehicle only has these two outer sections that will raise and lower depending on the speed. At 250 k's an hour, it's adding 50 kilos of downforce. A lot of the work is actually done by those vortex generators under the vehicle. They act to basically increase downforce, suck the car to the ground. This is tech that's been derived from F1. It's used in aviation as well, but here specifically in this Ferrari, it basically creates a flow of air to the back of the vehicle, and you can see this diffuser. It is an incredible setup. It's not just the standard diffuser you find on a car. It actually has elements that come from beneath the vehicle through this section here and then around the front of it as well. So this is creating a situation where you can increase your drag, but you're actually then increasing the vehicle's downforce as well. So a lot of work has gone into making sure that this has a lot of optimization there between speed and downforce. Rear wheel steering is included in this vehicle as well. So that means when you do turn the wheel, you get that net effect of the rear wheels turning as well at the same time. They'll change direction depending on whether you're doing a low speed maneuver or a high speed maneuver, and they work to basically improve the handling dynamics of the car. Mentioned earlier that this section here is another one you can't change the colour of. So front and rear, this is just black. You don't really get any other option there. And I think, look, it works well. When you look at the colour combinations you can get this car in, there are just a number that you could pick from there that this would create a really good sort of difference between. The other thing to consider as well is that if you do go black, then everything is black and you don't need to worry about it too much, and you can always wrap it if you need to. So that's not too much of a concern either. You can see this one here has a carbon rear on it as well. Now, the other thing I noticed as well around the back here, this LED section, so you've actually got this strip that comes out, also like the front there where it sticks out sort of wide of the body. Now this is the standard LED lighting setup when the car is stationary, but if you put your foot on the brake, it actually lights up across that entire back section. So this is going to have such a cool profile at night time, and it just really will stand out in traffic. You're going to be able to tell this from every other car and every other Ferrari on the road as well. It is quite impressive, and I just can't get over this diffuser here. It is just such a cool setup and so bulky. Literally sits wide of the car, so you don't ever want to be reverse parking into anything, because that will end in disaster. Now, I want to show you the boot as well. Have a look at this. Okay, so here's the boot. It's actually surprisingly practical, and when I was poking around the interior before as well, the glove box is surprisingly practical as well, which I'll run you through. I'm surprised by this because there are a lot of sports cars that just do not have storage and do not have glove boxes. So I'm going to pop this out of the way just for a second there. Like other Ferraris, you can see the custom options list on the car just there, which I think is really cool. This also has a system that you may not think about too often if you don't have a fleet of these cars, but a lot of owners will have several supercars, and one of the biggest issues is batteries going flat. You don't want to have to keep going through batteries. They are expensive to not only source and also replace for vehicles like this. It actually has a charging port here so that when you do get the car at home, simply plug into that and that will keep the vehicle charged so that when you do want to go for a drive, it's ready to fire up and go. You don't need to worry about the battery and it draining and all that sort of stuff. I've got a bunch of classic cars and I don't know how much of a pain in the arse that is. Under here, have a look at this. So you've got some kit here in case your tyre ever goes flat, but I love this. Have a look at the screwdriver. It's like one of those old school screwdrivers your dad would have. So I think it is really cool to see that there's a bit of nostalgia in here as well in terms of the equipment that you get when your tyre goes flat. Sound system, I'll run you through inside the car, but this is one of the subwoofers on the optional Burmester sound system. You also have a luggage rack behind the driver and passenger as well, so you can get Ferrari luggage that straps into that if you do want to go away for a weekend or something like that. Let's jump inside the cabin. This is such a tech-focused car. I want to run you through some of the interesting things they've added to it. Welcome to the interior of the 12-cylinder. This is quite impressive from a tech standpoint because ahead of the drive you have a screen that's almost 16 inches in size and super high resolution, and it has to be very fast as well when you consider that this car will rev almost out to 10,000 RPM, and it does that pretty quickly as well. The refresh rate has to be very quick to keep up with that, so it's a very impressive screen. It is controlled here by the steering wheel, and the steering wheel is again another sort of work of art here. There's indicators built into here. You've also got your traction controls here. You've got capacitive touch buttons to control the I guess everything that you're seeing there in front of the driver, things like your ADAS settings, your trip computer, and then also phone, audio, all the sort of practical day-to-day stuff as well. Windscreen wipers are here. It is really just everything is located here. There is very little switchgear inside the cabin, and that's because you have this central display here. This is just over 10 inches in size. This is the infotainment system effectively. This is where you're able to control things like climate. You're able to lift the vehicle. You've got radio. It's all sort of located in this central section, so both the driver and your front passenger can interact with that. That is backed up though by another screen here ahead of the passenger, so that is a smaller screen around 8 inches in size. This thing allows you to do performance views, so you can see how fast you're going, just in case you can't tell by the noise and all the other stuff that's going on around the car. You've got a G meter there as well for your passengers, again, if they can't feel what's going on. In addition to that, they can also control your audio settings and put volume up and down and that kind of thing. So plenty of equipment here to play with. The thing that I was quite surprised with, and by the way, this is what the key looks like. So you've got a sort of leather front on that, and then the Ferrari logo on the back, and that's a proximity sensing key, which is cool. Little slot for that just there as well. The thing that I was quite surprised with this interior is the amount of storage. That glove box is enormous, and normally on a car like this, you don't even get a glove box, let alone one that is big enough to actually put things in. You've got luggage storage that I mentioned before. You've got this center console here as well that's pretty reasonable there with USB-C and 12-volt charging as well. The sound system that I called out before, I've got to get this right. It is a Burmester sound system. It has 15 speakers, 1,600 watts. 1,600 watts in a cabin this size, it is going to sound like a concert. It's just something crazy like that. So, yeah, this interior is quite special, and it needs to be to match the price. This is going to be an expensive car in Australia. I mean, with a car like this as well, you can't really just walk into a Ferrari dealership and order one. It's kind of like a Rolex. You have to be invited to order one based on previous ownership as well. So if you're one of those lucky few, good on you. And hopefully we can include one of these in our future drag racing series as well. Now, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to our channel as well. Let me know in the comments section below, what do you reckon about this? Do you like the design? Do you think it's a bit too out there? Do you think it's not out there enough? What do you think of it compared to the 812? I'm keen for your feedback, but from my perspective here, seeing it in person, it is an incredible looking car, and this interior is just something else. As a tech person, I think if I'm going to own one of these, I want to feel comfortable inside it and know that I have all the features like your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Just has everything that it needs. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and like I said, share the video if you like it. But until next time, take it easy.